Last week, he misled the House. He was not on top of his own education bill, listening to
Sorry. We can't accuse the Prime Minister of misleading the House. No. But he can't do it. I'm sure there's words that you would prefer to use.
Mr. Speaker, last week he claimed to have laid down an amendment that he had not made. He doesn't know what is going on in here or out there. Last week, I spoke to a woman running a business in Exeter. She is terrified of taking on new staff. She is struggling to keep her head above water, dreading what this government will do next. She's not alone. The Federation of Small Businesses says 92% of small employers are concerned about the employment bill. Clauses 1 through 6 make it harder for business to hire new employees, often young people looking for their first job. This isn't an employment bill, it's an unemployment bill. Given these clauses, will he drop his bill and show that he is not anti-growth?
Mr. Speaker, we believe in giving people proper dignity and protection at work. That's why we're proud of our record supporting workers. They consistently vote against any protection for working people. And her consistent refrain is that there should be less. But, Mr. Speaker, we are driving growth on behalf of working people. Good work rights are consistent with growth. Every good business knows that. And on top of the planning reform, the building of the houses, supporting aviation, the Chancellor this morning spoke of the Oxford-Cambridge growth corridor, redeveloping Old Trafford, and manufacturing at East Midlands Airport. We want to grow the economy. The only policies she's got is to shrink pensions.
In a fiery exchange at the latest parliamentary session, Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch launched a blistering attack on Labour leader Keir Starmer over the contentious enterprise bill, accusing him of pushing legislation that could stifle job creation and burden small businesses. Badenoch, known for her no-nonsense approach, seized on fresh concerns from the business community, citing figures that show a staggering 92% of small employers fear that clauses 1 to 6 of the bill will make it harder to recruit new staff, particularly young people entering the workforce for the first time. In a scathing rebuke, she dismissed the bill as a charade, branding it an unemployment bill rather than one designed to foster economic growth. The controversy surrounding the enterprise bill centers on the impact of its regulatory measures on small and medium-sized enterprises. SMEs. Critics argue that provisions within the bill could lead to excessive red tape, deter investment, and create additional hiring difficulties at a time when businesses are already struggling with economic uncertainty. Badenoch wasted no time in hammering home this point, delivering a clear challenge to Starmer. With these clauses, will he scrap his bill and prove he is not an anti-minister? The accusation is a sharp one, implying that Starmer's legislative agenda is not only misguided but actively hostile to enterprise and job creation. Starmer, taken aback by the intensity of the attack, attempted to counter the claims, defending the bill as a necessary measure to strengthen workers' rights while ensuring fair business practices. He insisted that Labour remains committed to fostering employment opportunities, but refused to back down on key elements of the legislation. While Labour argues that the bill seeks to address systemic inequalities in the workforce and improve job security, Badenoch's assault highlights the growing rift between the party's rhetoric and business sector realities. If the figures she cited hold weight, the government may successfully paint Starmer as out of touch with the needs of entrepreneurs and job creators. With the UK economy still on shaky ground post-pandemic, public perception of Labour's ability to manage business growth and employment will be crucial heading into the next general election. If the Conservative Party can effectively position Starmer as a leader who prioritizes bureaucracy over economic prosperity, it may bolster their case among small business owners and voters who prioritize economic stability. Conversely, if Labour can frame the bill as a progressive reform aimed at ensuring fairness in employment, it could strengthen their appeal among younger voters and workers in precarious positions. For now, the battle lines are drawn. Kemi Badenoch, has thrown down the gauntlet, and Keir Starmer must now decide whether to stand his ground or rethink his position. Either way, this latest political skirmish is just a preview of the economic and ideological clashes that will define the months to come.
I mean, this must be an AI version of the chopper, because I actually agree with probably all that he's said so far. So there's something going off there. There must be a glitch in the system, chopper.
It's been hacked by the Chinese.
He is quite right that migration has been out of control. It started with Blair. It went to the Tory government were actually worse, and it looks like it's going to continue under this government. And you're quite right, Martin, nobody in this country voted for it. It's making us all poorer. Chopper is half right when he says it does sort of grow the economy, but we're less productive. And I was always taught, even in basic economics at school, the way you become more productive in this country is to do more with less people. And what we're actually doing is we're doing more, but with a lot more people. We see nail bars opening, barbershops opening. We see all these fast food places. We see Deliveroo. You can't shift on the streets of London for people cycling them out, delivering pizzas and hot dogs. These aren't contributing towards the economy. They're taking far more out than they're actually paying in. It's an absolute nonsense. These lunatics over here that work in Parliament, and I sit with them, I've been sat there this morning, they haven't got a clue. Well, I mean, if the cat fits, Matthew, we don't know, it probably does. But these lunatics over there haven't got a clue what it's like to live in the real world. They're not queuing up for a doctor's appointment, they don't have to pull their own teeth out, they're not queuing up for a council house, and they're not bothered about, they're not worried about what school the kids are going to go to, because they probably go to a private school. It's absolutely disgusting. We're letting the country down, and that place should hang its head in shame.
In yet another heated political clash, Reform UK MP Lee Anderson has launched a scathing attack on Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer over reports suggesting the UK will not meet its previously promised defence spending target of 2.5% of GDP. According to The Times, Starmer is poised to resist increasing the UK's defence budget beyond the existing 2% commitment, citing concerns over the country's strained public finances. This marks a stark contrast to his previous pledge, made in July, to raise military expenditure to 2.5% of GDP, a promise he called a cast-iron commitment. Anderson, speaking, wasted no time in lambasting Starmer, accusing him of misleading voters to secure electoral victory. Labour has abandoned this promise with about zero explanation as to why. He fumed. This is yet another example of Labour running on false pretenses to win votes, only to betray their promises once in power. The Reform deputy MEMP went further, condemning Labour's fiscal priorities. He argued that resources had been squandered on a range of policies, including foreign aid and climate change measures, at the expense of national security. If Labour can't prioritise defence because they've squandered resources on illegal immigration, foreign aid, and net zero fantasies, it's time to question the legitimacy of a government that repeatedly betrays the British people. However, Anderson and other critics argue that the defence budget rollback could have serious repercussions for Britain's standing on the world stage. A reduction in military funding, they argue, could weaken the UK's ability to uphold its NATO commitments and damage diplomatic relations with key allies, including the United States. Despite the backlash, Labour maintains that it remains committed to strengthening national security. The party's 2024 manifesto outlines plans for a strategic defence review within the first year of governance, with a roadmap to 2.5% of GDP spending. But Anderson and other Reform UK figures remain sceptical. This government is embarrassing our country on the world stage, he concluded, warning that Starmer's backpedaling could have long-term consequences for national security and global influence. With Starmer's defence strategy now under intense scrutiny, all eyes will be on how Labour justifies this policy shift, and whether it can withstand the mounting political pressure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment below, and subscribe for more updates. Join our Telegram community for exclusive discussions